Hello dear all, welcome to the another video of our course, that is Discrete Mathematics, and today we are going to see the another type of relation, that is irreflexive relations. So before starting this video, I would like to request you all that if you haven't watched my previous video where I have taught about the reflexive relation, please do watch this video, because without the knowledge of reflexive relation it is very difficult for you all to understand the concept of reflexive relation. So before starting this video, please do watch my previous video where I have taught about the reflexive relation. So in this video today we are going to see about the irreflexive relation. So before defining the irreflexive relation, first I am going to give you the example of irreflexive relation which will help you to understand the concept of irreflexive relation in better way. Consider we have set A which contain three elements A, B and C, and these are the cross product of A with itself. So, and this is the matrix representation of cross product or Cartesian product. So, in our previous video, we have seen that the reflexive relation is the relations which contain all these diagonal elements. If the relation contain all these diagonal element, then this type of relation is called reflexive relation. So we have seen in our previous video, but irreflexive relation is just opposite of reflexive relation. If relation contain one of the diagonal element, then the relation is not a irreflexive. In irreflexive relation we don't need to include this diagonal pair. So those relation is called a irreflexive relation which does not contain this diagonal pair. So I'm going to define the irreflexive relation now. So a relation R on set A is said to be irreflexive if A belongs to A such that AA does not belong to R. So we don't need to include the diagonal elements or reflexive pair on the relation. If the relation which doesn't contain any this reflexive element, then the relation is said to be irreflexive. So this is the mathematical definition of irreflexive relations. This is for all A belongs to A such that AA does not belongs to R, so that we don't need to include these reflexive pairs on R. So here I am going to give you few examples from where we need to identify which of the following relations are irreflexive. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of these 6 relations we need to identify which are the irreflexive relations. So this is the cross product and the matrix representations of the cross product, and in reflexive relations we don't need to include this diagonal pairs. So in R1 we have these diagonal pairs AA, BB, CC. Therefore this R1 is not a irreflexive relation. In R2 we contain AA, BB. So therefore this is also not a reflexive relation because we contain two, because these relations R2 contain two reflexive pair. Therefore this R2 is also not a irreflexive relation. Here R3 also contain AA, diagonal elements. So the diagonal elements or reflexive element. Therefore this R3 is also not a irreflexive relation. Here R4 contain A cross A, which means all the elements of cross product. So all the elements which also include these diagonal elements or reflexive pair. Therefore this R4 is also not a irreflexive relation. Here R5 contain nothing. So this is the empty set, also known as phi. So an empty set doesn't contain any reflexive pair. So therefore this R5 is a irreflexive relation because it doesn't contain the reflexive pairs. Here R6 contain AB, which is not a reflexive pair. BA is also not a reflexive pair. CB is also not a reflexive pair. Therefore R6 is also a irreflexive relation. So if one of the diagonal pairs include in a relation, then we can, without any doubt, we can say that that relation is not a irreflexive relation. Here we contain 1, 2, 3 diagonals pair, so it is not a irreflexive relation, but it is reflexive relation. Here we contain 2 diagonals element, therefore it is not a reflexive element. Here we contain only 1 diagonal element, so that it is not a irreflexive relation. So here we contain all the diagonal elements, therefore it is not a irreflexive relation. It is a irreflexive relation because it does not contain any reflexive pair. So these are the reflexive pair. AA, BB, CC is a reflexive pair, and R6 is also a irreflexive relation because it doesn't contain any reflexive pair. Here AB is not a diagonal element, B is not a reflexive element, CB is also not a reflexive element. So in reflexive relation, we don't need to include any reflexive pair. So this is all about for today's lecture. In next video we are going to see the another type of relation. Thank you for watching. See you in next video.